Class final is over.
It's history.
We'll never take another test at Bayside again.
It's kind of sad, isn't it?
No.
They were TV's most popular student bodies.
All these kids were just loving what we did and screaming and yelling out our names.
6 squeaky clean teens who ruled the school and always did the right thing.
Saved by the Bell didn't care about being a little sappy, a little cheesy.
But real life provided a harsh education.
It was a rough time. It was painful and hard.
At that point, I wish that everybody would just forget about the show.
In the next hour, we'll go back to school with the cast of Saved by the Bell for a lesson in literature.
The reviews are brutal. When they're picking on the kids, they're saying nasty things.
Social studies.
I think I was too weird for everyone. I was just the odd man out.
And chemistry.
There were a lot of changing partners and so on going on.
People would get together and almost take bets of who was going to last longest with whom.
This is the story of a comedy for the Clearasil crowd and the TV teens who've been to Bell and back. This is the story of Saved by the Bell, the E! True Hollywood story.
The dream of being one of from life's ambition was to be the star.
Recovered from the public scandal.
In 1989, a group of 6 pals from Bayside High changed the face of Saturday morning television.
We were the first live-action sitcom in the world for kids on Saturday morning.
Our competition was Bugs Bunny.
Bugs didn't stand a chance against these photogenic, pimple-free teens. During the early 90s, the Saved by the Bell cast members were the coolest kids in school. But they didn't sail to the head of the class right away. In the beginning, the gang was actually expelled from 2 network lineups. In the spring of 1987, NBC President Brandon Tartikoff hatched an idea for a primetime series about a revered grade school teacher. He titled the show, Good Morning, Miss Bliss.
Brandon Tartikoff had a 6th grade teacher named Miss Bliss. And according to Brandon, Miss Bliss, other than his grandfather, had the biggest influence on his life.
Network execs had a clear picture of who would play the lead.
It was written for Sandy Duncan, but then they had a problem on that Hogan family, and they moved Sandy to that. And then Brandon said, how would you like Haley Mills?
Although Mills never starred in a TV series before, she was no Hollywood neophyte. In the 60s, the British actress charmed America as the bubbly teenage star of Disney classics like Pollyanna and The Parent Trap. Over the next 2 decades, Mills found success as a stage actress. Then, at age 41, she accepted the role of Miss Bliss.
Was something I'd never done. And the scripts were fun, and it was a new departure.
For the show's 6th grade class, Tartikoff wanted to enroll a group of kids with the perfect blend of youthful exuberance.
We cast in that pilot Jonathan Brandis, who had gone on to Sequest, Urkel, Julia White, and Brian Austin Green from 90210.
On July 11, 1987, the pilot for Good Morning, Miss Bliss aired in primetime on NBC.
It did not make the schedule, so we were really disappointed.
But execs at the Disney Channel saw potential for the sitcom. They placed an order with NBC for a full season. Haley Mills reprised her role, although the premise of the series was revamped.
It was a totally different show, and I created totally different characters than had been on the pilot. They were in junior high school in Indianapolis.
With a new school and a new town, the show needed an older batch of students. In the spring of 1988, casting began for the mischievous Zach Morris.
Zach was the most popular boy in school, the king of the halls. He always has a scheme or a scam.
Zach had to look you in the eye and lie right to your face, and you had to love him.
A 14-year-old child model from Los Angeles clinched the role.
Mark Paul Gosselaar came in, and he had that twinkle in his eye, and I said to myself, if this kid can speak English, he's Zach.
When you saw Mark Paul, you knew he was going to be a star. You knew it.
Producers then cast Zach's eccentric sidekick. 11-year-old Dustin Diamond, a newcomer to acting, landed the role of Samuel Screech Powers.
I got the name Screech because do you know what it sounds like when you screech, when you run your nail across a blackboard? The screech, that was where Screech came from. That Screech could drive you nuts.
He was sort of king of the nerds.
I'm sure they hired me because I was, a little wacky or something with wired strange in the head.
Next, producers looked for a young actress to fill the designer shoes of Lisa Turtle.
Lisa Turtle was a princess and was conceived as a Jewish white girl from Long Island.
An unlikely candidate auditioned for the part, 13-year-old child model Lark Voorhees.
She read Lisa Turtle, and I said, "That's her." And what do you mean that's her? They said she's black. I said, well, so's Lisa Turtle as of now. And then Lark Voorhees was our princess.
31-year-old Dennis Haskins, who hailed from Chattanooga, caught wind of the new series. He jumped at the chance to read for the role of Principal Richard Belding.
I called my manager at the time, and she said, "Oh, they're looking for somebody black and over 50. I said, "Oh, well, 7 auditions later, I got the job."
And he was a responsible principal. So the notion of someone who could be your friend, who could be a comic foil, but still be an authority figure.
In August 1988, the cast arrived at NBC Studios in Burbank. It was time for lights, cameras, and action.
You work very fast. They're rewriting scenes and tearing pages out and shoving things under your nose, and you're trying to learn them. And I did find that a little bit undermining, a little bit alarming.
On November 30th, 1988, Good Morning Miss Bliss premiered on the Disney Channel.
We were still finding our way through. Some things were working and some things weren't.
It didn't really appeal to kids enough sufficiently. It didn't sufficiently appeal to an older audience either.
After 13 episodes, producers broke the news that every actor dreads.
We all go to the set, and Peter Engel, I'll never forget this, says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Disney has chosen not to go on with the project." People start crying and stuff.
Coming up, Saved by the Bell tanks.
Oh, no one likes the show. Oh, I suck.
And later,
The problems that happened was when they started to date each other.
in the spring of 1989, the cast of Good Morning Miss Bliss was devastated to learn that Disney canceled their series. But school wasn't out just yet.
It was just a weird time because the show was canceled, but then there was still this buzz going that something else was going to happen.
NBC President Brandon Tartikoff wasn't about to throw in the towel on Good Morning Miss Bliss. He had other plans for his pet project.
When Disney decided not to go forward, Brandon called me in and said, let's do this as a Saturday morning show. Let's keep Mr. Belding and Zach and Screech and Lisa. He said to me, we're losing the high-ender audience, which at that time was 10, 11, 12. With the cartoons, they were losing them. And he wanted to try a comedy, a live-action show with young people that he felt could capture those.
Producers went back to the drawing board and came up with a new game plan.
The young people would be the stars of the show, and adults would be secondary. Well, there would be no more Haley Mills. So the show essentially would be about the lives of young people beginning high school.
A zip code change was next. The fictional school was relocated from the Hoosier State to the left coast.
Everyone in the world wants to know how California kids live. We called it Bayside High in Palisades, California. It was a fantasy of what every kid hoped high school would be like.
The creative staff brainstormed about what to call the new series.
So the title seemed to suggest school, like When the Bell Rings or something like that.
And one of my writers said, how about Saved by the Bell? I said, we're not going to call it Saved by the Bell. That's the stupidest thing I have ever heard. Well, the next day I come in and there's a sign on the door, Saved by the Bell, and that was history.
Meanwhile, the brass at NBC was skeptical that a live-action show would work on Saturday mornings.
Prior to Saved by the Bell, we had a fully animated schedule, as did all the other networks. So for us to shift to a show like Saved by the Bell was a huge deal, and that was all Brandon, and everybody thought he was crazy.
Still, production forged ahead. In the summer of 1989, the search began for Kelly Kapowski, the cheerleader and homecoming queen. Producers narrowed the field down to 3 teenage finalists.
We bring in Jenny Goff, Tiffany Emma Thiessen, and Elizabeth Berkley separately to read for Kelly. Well, it came down to Elizabeth Berkley and Tiffany. Half the room wanted Tiffany. half the room wanted Elizabeth Berkley. So Brandon said, why don't we use both of them?
15-year-old Thiessen won the role of Kelly. The Long Beach native was a teen model and former Miss Junior America. 16-year-old Berkley, a dancer from Michigan, was cast as Jesse Spano.
We had a notion of Jesse as a real brain and this sort of compulsive achiever, perfectionist.
Adding spice to the mix was bad boy A.C. Slater.
Slater was supposed to be kind of a John Travolta, Barberini type from Welcome Back, Kotter.
For a 14-year-old dancer named Mario Lopez, the audition was a slam dunk.
When he walked in that room, I almost fainted.
And he just had those dimples, you know, the girls went crazy over it.
In July 1989, shooting began on Saved by the Bell. The show's producers were worried about the competition, Saturday morning cartoons. They devised a creative strategy.
We want the colors to be bright, we want the sets to be right, we want the scenes to be quick, and we want the music to be hot.
But the production was far from slick. The teen cast struggled to learn the sitcom ropes.
They were so young then, and they were pretty green.
Everybody was getting their feet wet on the first shows, trying to find themselves.
Including the stage crew.
We did not have a great crew on that first show, and we couldn't get through a scene without some camera hitting the lights. And the kids were interrupted time and time again because some flaw, something went down wrong within a scene.
As the premiere date approached, producers felt the heat.
We'd already had one, quote, failure. I mean, Miss Bliss didn't work the way they wanted to, so they were all on the line. So those guys felt a lot of pressure.
In late August 1989, Saved by the Bell was finally ready for air. Tartikoff planned a high-profile kickoff.
Brandon decided, let's launch it in prime time in the summer. And so we were on 3 weeks in a row.
On September 9th, the series took its regular place on the Saturday morning lineup.
Do you boys take these girls to be your school wives?
Oh, you bet. I guess.
Woohoo! That's what Mrs. Belding said when we got married.
The Chipmunks were our lead, and we were against a rabbit and a dog.
It sounded funny, you know, your competition's Bugs Bunny.
But the jokes were lost on TV critics.
They hated us. LA Times destroyed it. New York destroyed it. Your reviews are brutal. When they're picking on the kids, they're saying nasty things. Tiffany Amber Thiessen making fun of her name. It was that kind of thing, you know, which was uncalled for.
As a kid, you can think all these horrible things. Oh, no one likes the show. Oh, man, I suck. I'm a horrible actor. No one likes my work. You know, I'll never work again.
Coming up.
He had written Tiffany, and she hadn't written him back, and he was going to kill himself.
The cast of Saved by the Bell went head-to-head with cartoons and critics in the fall of 1989. Reviews panned the unusual show, while NBC execs wondered if their freshman comedy would make the grade.
Nobody knew how to deal with a live-action show on Saturday morning. Not the advertisers, not standards and practices, not the audience.
Producers were determined to keep Saved by the Bell afloat. To engage viewers, the show addressed coming-of-age issues that every teenager faced.
It's kind of like a counseling thing. I mean, it's dealing with kids in the way that they can actually see it through their own eyes.
One day, Peter and I were saying, you know, what do kids care about? And I said, kind of kidding, pimples. And he said, let's do that. Screech invents a cure for pimples.
We dealt with wrecking your parents' car and trying to fix it and hide it, and then, you know, you finally have to come clean. But the kids always came clean.
The valuable moral lessons became a trademark of the series, but the writing staff had to exercise caution.
We had issues every day with how to handle dramatic subjects and important subjects and social issues and not be too preachy. It was a constant problem.
When the Bayside Gang wasn't learning the difference between right and wrong, they were dealing with matters of the heart.
Saved by the Bell was about firsts. First crush, first blush, first kiss, first love, first heartbreak.
You know, you wanted them to be together, but you were there when they were breaking up. It had a fire to it. It had a chemistry to it.
The formula worked. By mid-season, Saved by the Bell overcame the doubting adults and gained a huge teen following.
They love the problems, the, you know, relationships, boyfriend, girlfriends, getting a zit, you know, all those things that, you know, teenagers go through. So they could relate to us.
Behind the scenes, production continued at a breakneck pace.
Our time frame schedule on that show was just almost impossible.
We had California labor laws, but they could only work a certain amount of hours.
And the clock would start ticking, and if we didn't have the last scene at 6 o'clock, we had to stop. So there's tremendous pressure to be done on time, get everything right.
Mark Paul would balk sometimes because he just felt like he was being rushed into something. And chances are he was.
State laws also required the cast to attend school on the set.
They had to get the grades. They didn't get the grades. They couldn't do the show.
Now they have to go to autograph sessions, and they have to go to photo shoots for NBC, and all these things that were going on in their lives. It was very busy. And I think it was draining to a lot of them.
I think they became old before their years.
Sometimes you grow up so fast, you're like going, where's my childhood, you know?
While the 15 and 16-year-old cast members leaped into adulthood, 12-year-old Dustin Diamond still felt like a kid.
For Dustin, it was more difficult than people realize, because he had to handle being the nerd, being younger, being in situations where he really wasn't part of the group.
It was hard for me. I didn't really hang out with the rest of the cast that much. I was a little wild kid, and I think everyone else kind of was like a tag-along little brother. It was like, oh, here's Dustin again, oh, he's crazy, whatever. And
one of the things with Screech was that he was in and out of these lockers. So they left, they put him in the locker and left him. Poor Dustin, he had all kinds of things done to him,
By the end of the first season in 1990, Saved by the Bell was a bona fide hit. The show ranked #1 with the teen market.
Our ratings, we climbed the top and surpassed Bugs Bunny, which is, a phenomenal feat.
We hit an audience that is so elusive, 12 to 17, and we then invented the word tweens and teens.
The teen press embraced the squeaky clean sitcom stars.
Oh my God, we were on the cover of every teen magazine all the time. We were on almost every page.
The network also cashed in on the craze.
All of a sudden we got, Screech t-shirts and Zach Love pillows and, the Slater calendars and just all kinds of stuff.
We had a board game and dolls and trading cards and books.
Fan letters poured into the NBC offices, and some of them were bizarre.
I got sent weird stuff. One girl sent me body fluid, hair, an article of clothing, and a personal possession to make a voodoo doll. I got one where this guy was saying he was depressed because he had written Tiffany and she hadn't written him back and he was going to kill himself. And I went, oh my goodness.
Meanwhile, hundreds of fans flocked to the NBC lot.
On tape days, it was like a Beatles concert. It was unbelievable.
People just would go nuts. I mean, these kids would be pushing in line and fighting and screaming.
We always had the paramedics on standby because the girls would be fainting.
It was shocking. And I think it took all of us by surprise, really.
Mark Paul Gosselaar struggled with his new heartthrob status.
He couldn't go out the front door of NBC, and they'd be waiting in the parking lot, chase him, and tear his clothes.
Mark Paul was horrified and scared and didn't know what to do.
I was actually a really shy, quiet guy. I think people thought that because of the character I played, that I'd be, the type to walk into a room and start a conversation and be the center of attention. And I'm the completely opposite.
Mario Lopez, however, relished the spotlight.
Mario went right up to the fence and started signing autographs, of course.
He was just a grinner. I mean, he loved the attention. He loved it.
And once again, Dustin Diamond remained on the periphery.
The Zacks and Slayers, they were like the hunks of the show, and I went through my awkward years on television.
Coming up, performance anxiety.
I'm thinking, I hope my breath doesn't smell. I hope I kiss him right. I hope I'm not shaking. I hope I'm not sweating.
By the second season of Saved by the Bell in 1990, the cast was voted most popular by droves of teenage fans. Still, critics dismissed the Saturday morning sitcom as mindless fluff. To keep viewers glued to the show, producers decided it was time for some drama. In the episode Jesse's Song, writers tackled their first hard-hitting issue, drug abuse.
She got hooked on caffeine pills, and Jesse's acting like she's on heroin or some, heavy narcotic or something, and she's taking caffeine pills.
It's okay. Everything will be okay.
Yeah.
I just need one of these.
Pills? You mean you really are taking drugs?
I need them.
Jesse, give me those.
I need them, Zach. I have to sing.
Jesse, you can't sing tonight.
Yes, I can. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so
You got to realize these days, people are going to laugh that it was Jesse and No-Dos. But that's as far as we had gone at that point.
Parents applauded the series for its positive social messages. Meanwhile, Saved by the Bell became the place to work for young Hollywood.
Quite frankly, we were the only game in town. Nobody else was doing these kinds of shows.
Many up-and-comers cut their acting teeth on the series, including Scott Wolf, Denise Richards, and Tori Spelling. The 17-year-old landed a recurring role.
Awkward puppy love.
Off-screen, Dustin wasn't as lucky in love, especially when the cast started to date each other.
Yeah, there was dating and fooling around going on, but I pretty much stayed out of it. And plus, I think I was too weird for everyone. I was just the odd man out.
The teen romances were fickle and fleeting.
There were a lot of changing partners and so on going on.
People would get together and almost take bets of who was going to last longest with whom. It was pretty funny.
Executive producer Peter Engel didn't think so.
When they broke up, there was a problem because all of a sudden there were sides. So you had 3 against 3 or 4 against 2, and there was a lot of tension.
Little bickering and fights can go on that can bleed through onto the actual scenes. And you're supposed to be kissing someone that in real life you're fighting with is probably not the easiest thing in the world to do.
But the drama behind the scenes didn't hurt the sitcom one bit. Once again, Saved by the Bell ended its season as the top-rated series among viewers 12 to 17. NBC execs decided to ride the wave of success. In September 1991, they launched the show in syndication.
Started playing at 5 or 6 in the afternoon on local stations opposite, Cosby and Roseanne and Murphy Brown, and we held our own and won in many markets.
Then next thing you know, we're on like 3 or 4 times a day sometimes. So it's crazy. Like my friends would turn it on and say, hey, you're always on the team. What's up?
Their visibility increased when the kids hit the road for a 13-city mall tour. The fan frenzy was daunting to the young cast.
It was kind of unfathomable. It was almost like we were rock stars.
All these kids were just loving what we did and screaming and yelling out our names and throwing things at us and wanting to cut our hair off and things like that.
We started crowding the stage. Now, imagine a mall with like 20,000 kids there. And it's just, you see people and you can't get out to the limo. And we had to rush out, and Mark Paul had his shirt torn off of him. I had necklaces and my pants were ripped.
By the start of the 3rd season, the Saved by the Bell gang was more popular than ever. Viewers were riveted by the on-again, off-again relationship of Zach and Kelly.
You never keep them together. But if you hook them up and keep tearing them apart, the audience loves it.
21-year-old Leah Remini joined the cast to shake things up.
I played Stacy Carosi, the Brooklyn girl with, big mouth, nasty, but, once you chisel away at that, it's just a sweet young woman. So, I was Zach's love interest.
22-year-old Patrick Muldoon also rocked the boat.
I was the guy who stole Kelly away from Zach, the first one. So I got a lot of flack for that.
In front of an audience of screaming people. Ooh.
It's so embarrassing. The whole crew is watching you. You're kissing another person, and not a bad-looking guy at that.
You have a sense of, for the first time, oh my God, a lot of people are going to see this. You're going to be on TV.
You're not thinking, I'm really going to get into this and stick my tongue down his throat. I'm thinking, I hope my breath doesn't smell. I hope I kiss him right. I hope I'm not shaking. I hope I'm not sweating.
And the whole thing's uncomfortable. But it's cool. Ultimately, you get to kiss Tiffany Amber Thiessen, so it's not so bad.
Coming up, Bell starts to take its toll.
He got sick of it. The people were voicing, I can't wait to get off this job.
After 3 years on the air, Saved by the Bell was still getting straight A's in the ratings. The young cast members were all Saturday morning stars, but they were starting to feel the pangs of missing out on childhood.
None of them had a traditional high school where they could go have a prom and all those other things.
The Saved by the Bell cast was struggling through adolescence, all the while in the white-hot glare of the spotlight.
Mark Belgasso had his first kiss on the show. Tiffany Amber Thiessen's prom was the Saved by the Bell prom. Practically everything they experienced was actually experienced on the show.
So I went through everything that normal kids would go through, except that was on TV. On TV. It was tough. It was tough.
When the teens entered their senior year in the fall of '92, they were restless to graduate.
As we got older, everybody was kind of going their separate ways.
I think they got a little bit tired of it, got sick of it. People were voicing, oh, yeah, I can't wait to get off this show. I want to go out there and do a movie.
Still, the series continued to flourish in syndication, especially abroad.
It changed every day, but it's now in 65 countries, 67 countries. We'd see these dubbed versions in, Spanish and Portuguese.
Screech. They had these guys that were like older than me doing the translating of all of our dialogue.
Viewers of all ages were hooked on the frothy sitcom.
There was a cult following of older people because everyone can relate to high school.
Saved by the Bell became a drinking game in college. Okay, every time Zach cons someone, drink a shot. Every time Slater says mama to Jesse, drink 2 shots. Every time Belding is duped, drink 3 shots. If Screech is thrown into a locker, finish the bottle.
The success inspired NBC execs to venture into primetime with a 2-hour made-for-TV movie. On November 27th, the gang said aloha to paradise on Saved by the Bell Hawaiian style. The movie marked the cast's last shoot with Tiffany Amber Thiessen and Elizabeth Berkley.
They had decided to go on and take their chances with pilot season. And the others of us, myself and Mark Paul and Mario and Lark and Dustin, were going to do 10 more episodes.
Thiessen and Berkley didn't skip out on getting their Bayside High diplomas. On May 22, 1993, the girls returned for the series finale, the Saved by the Bell Graduation Special.
The last day of high school would be the happiest day of my life. Until I realized what I'd be leaving. My friends. So that's what Bayside means to me.
It was like a kind of double graduation, graduating from this show, graduating from their own high school. And I remember people were really crying.
I was probably as emotional as anybody because I got real attached to these kids.
But school wasn't out just yet. The network brass decided the time was right for a primetime spin-off.
Because of the success in syndication, if it can play at 5 or 6 o'clock, maybe it can play at 8 o'clock,
Saved by the Bell, the college years continued the story of Zach, Slater, and Screech at fictional California University. Former LA Raider Bob Golick played their resident advisor.
In the pilot, actually, just the 3 boys. And then testing showed us that they missed the girls, and so we brought Tiffany back. And we had some other girls as well.
The cast was nervous about their move to the big leagues.
There's a lot of pressure. I felt it. Because on Saturday morning, we did whatever we wanted. And I was like, we're the only one on Saturday morning. Who do we have to compete with? G.I. Joe. Now, though, we're competing with the bigger shows. We're up against the big boys.
On September 14, 1993, the college years joined the NBC lineup on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m.
We were up against Full House in prime time, and Full House was wildly popular. And it was a very hard time slot, and we didn't get a lot of promotion.
Reviews of the show were harsh, and the ratings struggled.
It was a really hard transition. I think we left all our familiar writers, we left all our moral tales behind. I also think that the audience was confused, because Saved by the Bell at that point was on 5 days a week. It was in 85 countries. I think people thought, well, I can see it any day of the week. Why do I have to watch it in primetime?
Meanwhile, it was back to school time at Bayside High. That fall, the Saturday morning series was rechristened Saved by the Bell, The New Class. A fresh group of kids enrolled while Dennis Haskins stayed on as Mr. Belding.
I had an agent who said, look, you've either got to embrace this or run from it. So for as long as I was doing it, I embraced it.
The show got off to a rocky start.
We never quite got it together with the casts of the new class. They were never as talented or as charismatic as the original cast, and that was always a problem.
The lightning in the bottle, the top came off. It was hard to get it back in.
While the new class tried to find their footing in high school, the college kids got some bad news in February of 1994, just 7 months into their primetime run.
We got canceled because they violated the rule of if it isn't broken, don't fix it.
We ran 19 episodes, and it was a heartbreak because we had had so much success on Saturday morning. And the numbers really weren't that good in prime time.
That October, the original cast reunited once again for a final send-off, a 2-hour made-for-TV movie called Saved by the Bell: Wedding in Las Vegas.
Zach, against his parents' wishes, is going to go to Las Vegas with Kelly to get married. And, of course, it's a road trip. And, of course, they lose all their money. And so we have all these adventures all over Las Vegas,
including a stint as Vegas showgirls.
Mario, he's got the macho side. He's concerned about how he looks, and then he's in the bra and the tights and everything else and the wig, and it was just funny.
Then it was the moment viewers had been waiting for. After 5 years, Kelly and Zach finally said, "I do."
It was heart-tugging because it was real. And they realized it was over. Now where are they going to go?
Coming up.
At that point, I wish that everybody would just forget about the show.
After their spin-off show about college was canceled, the kids from Bayside High embarked on their post-grad careers. The Saved by the Bell gang learned a lesson that a lot of ex-students discover. Real life can be a little rough.
It's the Saturday morning bubblegum show with good moral values. And these actors, I feel, have never gotten the respect that they deserve.
In the fall of 1994, Dennis Haskins kicked off the second season of Saved by the Bell: The New Class. This time, Dustin Diamond joined him.
NBC came up with an offer for him to come back to Saturday morning to be partner with me and keep playing Screech.
They made me administrative assistant to Belding.
While Diamond and Haskins walked the halls of Bayside once again, the rest of the original cast set out to lose their squeaky clean images. In September 1994, Tiffany Amber Thiessen switched from playing Wholesome to raising hell when she joined the cast of Beverly Hills 90210. Thiessen portrayed the troubled vixen, Valerie Malone.
Coming from a sweet, young, innocent little girl in Saved by the Bell and to this, girl who is around a lot, with a lot of different people, guys, manly. It's been fun.
Tiffany goes right to 90210, takes over in a situation where Shannon Doherty's left. The ratings go up. But, Tiffany brought her whole audience with her and took on a character that was dark instead of goody two-shoes.
After 4 seasons, Thiessen said farewell to 90210 in 1998. The following year, Tiffany dropped the Amber from her name and continued to be a presence on television, with guest appearances on sitcoms like Just Shoot Me and Two Guys and a Girl. Mark Paul Gosselaar's transition into adult roles was not as smooth. Following the demise of Bell, Gosselaar found himself in a rut.
It wasn't easy for him. He didn't go right into working. He had to really scrape it out for a couple of years. It was difficult.
He was just so identifiable with Zach, and he wasn't getting the roles that he deserved.
At that point, I wish that everybody would just forget about the show.
After 3 dry years, Mark Paul returned to the acting scene in 1997 with a new image. The 23-year-old was bigger, buffer, and brown-haired. Gosselaar found a niche playing against type in dramatic TV movies, with roles ranging from rapist to runaway.
I kind of like drama a little better just because it's more real, just for the fact that I did comedy for 6 years. And it gets tiring sometimes, just being always over the top.
Still, Gosselaar couldn't resist venturing back into comedy for a chance at the big screen. In 1998, he made his feature debut in Dead Man on Campus.
You can hear my heartbeat through my penis. Get those out of your pants.
Mark Paul then returned to TV as co-star of Hyperion Bay, a short-lived Gen X drama on the WB. Like Gosselaar, Mario Lopez was determined to prove he could stretch as an actor. In 1997, he impressed critics with his portrayal of Olympic diving champ Greg Louganis in a television biopic. The following year, Lopez returned to episodic TV when he joined the cast of Pacific Blue on the USA Network. Lopez played a crime-fighting bike patrol officer.
Mario goes from the Greg Louganis story to Pacific Blue, and the ratings doubled for Pacific Blue. The producer gave Mario credit for bringing a whole new audience to the show.
After Bell, Lark Voorhees also found a place in episodic TV, but of the daytime soap opera kind. In 1993, Lark landed a role as an unwed teenage mother on Days of Our Lives. But just 8 months later, Voorhees found herself in a quandary when the script called for a love scene that she believed went against her religion.
There was an integrity choice for her. She walked from a show.
Voorhees quickly rebounded, and a year later she joined the cast of The Bold and the Beautiful. She also began to explore her musical side.
I sing with a band, so it's a soulful alternative, kind of a fusion.
Perhaps the toughest road after Saved by the Bell was traveled by Elizabeth Berkley. In 1995, she shed her good girl image, as well as her clothes, in the film Showgirls. Berkley found her lead role as a Vegas lap dancer surprisingly liberating.
When we were done filming, it was strange wearing clothing again. It was very freeing at a certain point. Although I was, a little nervous in the beginning, it was very freeing at the end. And clothes just seemed like a nuisance.
But the film was universally panned as one of the year's worst, and Berkley drew a firestorm of criticism for her acting and the awkward sex scenes. Her agent dropped her, and Elizabeth saw her career prospects plummet.
When Showgirls first came out, obviously it was a rough time. I mean, I'm not going to lie about it. I will not lie to you about that. It was painful and hard, and it was a challenging time professionally and personally. I went through a lot.
She felt like the world abandoned her.
Berkley searched for roles that would help erase the Showgirls stain. In 1996, she returned to the big screen in The First Wives Club, followed by a small role in the 1999 film Any Given Sunday. Meanwhile, Saved by the Bell, the new class, was losing steam on Saturday morning.
We're ending up doing some of the same stories. There are only so many stories to tell.
The last year and a half of the new class weren't a whole lot of fun for me, I'll be honest. They were taking liberties with Screech and Mr. Belding that just weren't funny, and I thought that they were kind of disrespecting the audience a little bit towards the end.
Saved by the Bell, the new class was not Saved by the Bell. It was just a totally different show.
In December 1999, the final episode aired on NBC. The finale was especially poignant for Dennis Haskins. After 11 years of playing Principal Belding, it was the end of an era.
Going from day one with Miss Bliss to the last day of the new class, I'm the only one that took that whole Saturday morning journey.
Coming up.
Great, everyone's like, woo, the guy who spent 9 years in high school, whoopee.
On Saved by the Bell rang for the last time in the winter of 1999. Dustin Diamond and Dennis Haskins, the last survivors from the original Saturday morning franchise, faced the difficult task of breaking free from their Bell personas.
It was a blessing, and now there's some things that are holding me back a little bit because I am typecast.
By the turn of the century, Bayside's class of '93 had already gained a foothold in Hollywood. Mark Paul Gosselaar's big breakthrough came in 2001 when he was offered a new beat, playing a cop on NYPD Blue.
I've noticed I'm getting more middle-aged housewife fans, which is great. I dig that.
With new success, Gosselaar finally came to terms with his teen past.
I'm always going to be associated with Saved by the Bell. It'll always be a part of my life, but to have this on your resume is definitely a plus. To have NYPD next to your name, you can't go wrong.
Mario Lopez also made a return to network TV. In 2001, Lopez joined Dick Clark and Danny Bonaducci on The Other Half, a daytime talk show on NBC.
I've always felt very comfortable just being myself, and I love people, and I love learning about them and talking to them, and the whole concept just kind of was very interesting. I mean, it sounded like a lot of fun.
Despite the Showgirls fiasco, Elizabeth Berkley felt vindicated in 2001 when Woody Allen cast her in The Curse of the Jade Scorpion.
Oh, it was amazing. It's like a dream, really. It's kind of like, I liken it to, I guess, a tennis player who finally gets to go to Wimbledon. It's like the ultimate for an actor.
Lark Voorhees also ventured onto the big screen. She appeared opposite rappers Method Man and Redman in the 2001 comedy How High. Tiffany Thiessen continued to take risks. In the fall of 2002, she secured a leading role as an undercover cop on the Fox action series Fastlane.
She's probably one of the most amazing characters I've been able to, get the chance and lucky enough to play, and to be able to have the opportunity to do it, it's really, really exciting.
Despite the hurdles of typecasting, Dennis Haskins remained optimistic.
I got to work on The West Wing. I've gotten to do some movies. I am trying to keep working as an actor and do whatever I can. I've grown the mustache to shift a little bit from being as recognizable as Mr. Belding.
For Dustin Diamond, his next role after Bell was playing himself.
I went into stand-up, so I had to pay my dues all over again as stand-up.
Most people in my line of work start out stand-up comedy, hope to get a movie. Hope to get a TV series someday. I'm doing it backwards. I had a TV show. Now I'm doing stand-up comedy. Come see me next year. I'll be doing security with Gary Coleman.
Do a lot of clubs and colleges, and it's almost like going to a Trekkie convention, but for Saved by the Bell.
Diamond also released an instructional chess video.
What do you say? Let's get this video rolling, men.
Today, Saved by the Bell continues to thrive in syndication.
There's a whole new generation of kids watching this like it's brand new, and it still works.
You can't kill this thing. It's still alive. It's airing somewhere right now as we speak.
A couple of weeks ago, I got a call from a friend of mine saying, hey man, you know, what are you doing, you know, stealing Kelly from Zach?
People go, oh, you're from that show, and I'm like, yeah, the King Queens, you know, and they go, no, you were on Saved by the Bell, right?
After an 11-year run and 265 episodes, Saved by the Bell has truly passed the test of time.
It's important to be reminded of good, healthy, nice kids, you know, out there dealing with life in exactly the same way that we all do.
The beauty of Saved by the Bell is that it didn't care about being a little sappy, a little cheesy. It just went for it.
It was just that unique show with unique people, great writers, but most of all, it was the kids.
I'm proud to have been part of it, and always will be proud to be part of it.
I have a video scrapbook of my childhood. How cool is that?
I really, really loved the experience on Saved by the Bell.
That love comes across, and I think people really take to that.
We've grown up together. We've become real close to each other, made some good friends.
I learned a lot, and it was definitely a changing point in my life.
We had a great time. It was 6 years. It was at a really fun part of your life. I was a lucky kid, I'll tell you that much.
Not only have we grown physically, but I think mentally as far as as actors and as people themselves.
I just saw a new product out. It's Saved by the Bell bath utensils. They have shampoo. They have shampoo, facial things, deodorants, things like that. Aren't you happy about that? Oh, yeah. Aren't you pleased to hear that?
I'm going to go use my Bell shampoo.